Call the spaceships to Davenport. Prepare for divanarchy and interface with a couch in space. What is up, my Terran brethren and sisterin? Coming at you with a haircut today. I had in ultimate social distancing. I had somebody flown up here to space, and we just like used the moon clipper, the giant extendo arm things, and it turned out pretty good. Um, so with my newly shorn look, I would like to usher in a new era of sponsorship. We've never had this sponsor before, but I am over the moon, pardon the pun or don't, about it. I screwed it up. We're gonna do like that and like that and oh crap, we got Tiger Squawk Records. So you want to check out the new Sex, Death, Religion, Distant Images. It's amazing. You want to check out the new Siren, 15 years, best of. New single from Virtual Terrorist, Neurolace, awesome. Corrupted Memories from Industrial is out now. It's really great. Stop the Goth, Science Fiction is back with his new single. Bitman is on fire with the new single Standing in a City. Gasoline Invertebrate out now. And Gothicals are back. Pre-party. That was supposed to be Cold Waves, which got canceled. That's okay. Double feature. We'll get into this today, but check it out. Another single from Bitman, Busting Atoms. He is out of control. Gasoline Invertebrate next Friday, this coming Friday, the 26th, for Virtual Temple online debut. Temple is Area 51 in Salt Lake City. I don't know if that URL is public yet, but on the 26th, just use your brain and put it into Google. You'll find it. So, right then. Oh man, Dan Gunther is around. What is up, Vein Collector? The guest today, we've already gotten into a little bit because we, as in he and I, just released, like just as you're hearing this like an hour ago, put out a new EP, Noisebox in the place. Oh, Nevada Hardware. He kind of looks like our guest. I wonder why. And we're gonna get into some other boundless stuff and maybe a little bit beyond that because he is a busy guy. This was a really fun one to research because our guest today is a Renaissance man of the electronic variety. I mean, Renaissance is not futile when it comes to our guest. So let's bring him in, ladies and gentlemen. The Boundless. What is up, sir?
Hey, how are you?
I am great. Just doing outer space stuff. I mean, looking at eclipses and coronas, the good kind, and all that sort of asteroids and just like planet stuff. How are you there in my old haunt of Chicago?
Doing all right, man. Doing all right. I walked out to just before this to before where they closed the lake with social distance with a mask, of course, distance from everyone. I was distanced then from the lake as well as I saw it because I'm kind of down close to that on the north side.
Okay, cool. I was right by the lake, like right by the zoo there for a long time, which is cool. Wow. Okay, I didn't. I mean, I assumed they'd close the lake down, but like I just hearing you say it kind of made it like real in my mind. But we will get into your lake of prodigious output. Not good. They're not all good.
No, it's good. No,
okay.
It's great.
Well, I appreciate your space support.
Yeah.
The dude, we just came out with double feature like an hour and a half ago.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
I'm pretty excited about it. How do you feel about this release?
I feel really great about it, honestly. I really was happy to work with you, man. Like it was you I've collaborated a lot. I have a project which I don't want to go way into, but it's called
Mhm.
Do, which I've really worked since 2008 with 30 some different people that I've collaborated
Get out, really?
with. Yeah, we rented a studio once and then we all just kind of rolled dice and 13 of us did, but that's a different thing. But like what this
38.
thing was that it was cool that because what happened was I woke up, I saw the Kickstarter announcement for Gasoline and Vertebrate, and I always really like that project that you
Oh,
do.
thanks,
I
man.
think it's really cool. And I like because your production's very tight, and I like how you had all of it together and the aesthetic of it, all that. It was way up my alley, so I was like, oh, I guess I'll support this. This sounds cool. Brian's a cool guy. I'll do it. And then I accidentally put you over the top, and I'm like, oh shit, I guess I just I supported this project.
Yeah, you were the
So, but
guy.
it's fine. It's fine. And then I was like, well, the quarantine's happening. I started working with Splice. So I've worked with Splice with a couple other artists in the Do project. There'll be a quarantine album and all that kind of
Mm.
stuff happening later. And then I thought, oh, maybe Brian would want to do that. I thought you're on Ableton, which is okay that you're not. It's cool to be in all kinds of DAWs. You just got to get the end product out.
Mhm.
Um, but so you told me you were on Cubase and you just sent me some stems. And I thought when I said let's collaborate that you would send me stems like maybe a month or half a year
Hmm.
later. And it was an afternoon after I put it out there, you had half of the track that we now call Louder completed. And I
Awesome.
was like, all right, man. So that's when I fired my stuff up and then added you some more of the pieces to that. And then we went back and forth. And then I was like, at first I thought this would be cool for the Do quarantine thing, but I'm glad we talked because this is a really cool thing to have the double release, the Tiger Squawk and Think Break, which I think are there's a strong, obviously, connection of how
Word.
I feel that after we talked, especially how you approach what a label is, how we approach what a label is,
Mhm.
and all of that, and how it's kind of a community building thing. So, anyway, so with all that technical crap out of the way, I'm going to say it was awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I really stand behind both of the songs. I think that they're radically different, but I think you can hear what you added. You made choices on the one that was me featuring you, and I made choices that you wouldn't have made, and I learned
It's true.
from that. And then also it's always fun to see someone else's production. You're just like, oh, this is how he does his hi hats. This is how he
Yeah,
does those
totally,
other
right?
pieces.
It's
You're like, okay, cool.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Want to give a quick shout out to synthpop superstar and co-worker Ryan of White Cube is in the chat room. Um, the yeah, you touched on a couple things, and normally I like to focus on the guest, but we just put out this thing together, so I'm gonna talk about how I'm a hero for like a little bit. But like the I a non-zero amount of people ask me to do collabs, and I'm usually like, hell yeah. Here's my half of the book report, and then people just sort of bamf out of existence, and which I'm fine with because then like I have a head start on a song. There's a couple Gasoline or Godsicles tracks that have started with the idea that they would be completed on the back end by somebody else, and that's okay. Um, but when you shot back to me, I was like, oh, okay, this dude gets it. Not only did I love that last Digital Gnosis album and learning about you mostly through our mutual buddy Adam, I was like, I like him, and he's got sort of my work ethic, if that's a word I can use without sounding like a complete douchebag. But yeah, so for the people at home, this double feature album we've just put out, like we both sort of, it's not a remix trade, which was sort of interesting for me because I'm used to, and I think a lot of times people gravitate towards this in electronic music, where like, I'll give you all these pieces and you build your Lego castle, and you give me some pieces and I'll build my Lego castle. But it was somewhere in between that. Like we each got to have some input on the other's Lego castle halfway through. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there was we tossed the ball back and forth twice. There were two rotations,
And
which I thought was really cool. And that was, yeah, it wasn't just like, okay, well now I'll finish this. It was like, no, it was definitely, it was. I feel that your attitude was similar to kind of mine
mm,
with that, where it's like you just listen to what the song does. I'm not like, well, I have to serve, and I gave you extra parts too, where you cut them, and I was like, good, good. That means I will cut his parts as well, you
yeah.
know. So it was, but it was good. So we really then took whatever was best to
Mhm.
serve the song, and I think that that's for both of the songs, and I think we did.
Yes. The oh, White Cube says there's a remix of Squid Face coming. Well, for everybody watching, we're gonna cut to the trailer that you put together, sir. That it's really cool. The cover of this album that you'll see in a second was done by Nick L. of Digital Gnosis, and shout out to him. We'll get into that in a second. And the air horn you will hear on my track is something I would have never thought of. I would have never put a GD air horn into a track, save for the input of our guest today. So here's the thing we just put out, like a little taste.
We need to be louder!
Nope, set it to loop there. Forgot about that. That's okay. You just got a little bit of the intro
Fine.
music again. That's the Space Couch difference. So obviously, no stranger to collaboration work. Um, and we've got into this process, but what are some things you could impart to uh, people who might want to get into this world of, I'm going to say, electronic music collaboration because that's what I know, but um, you as something of a collaboration expert with Gnosis and this 38 person do thing, drop some science on us of collaborativeness.
I think part of it comes from similarly to improv. I come from
Mm.
that. I come from theater first,
Oh, awesome.
and so it's the whole yes and really, and also just letting everything be on the table. And I learned how to make electronic music through collaboration,
Mm.
and learn from everybody. So, for example, in the Do project, one person I know had never made any kind of electronic music or any music at all, and I was like, but then they're like, well, make that crazy robot sound, and I'm like, I don't know how to do that, and so then I'll learn how to do it. So I'd say just, and really, I think the only ones that I feel kind of strange about were the ones where people had an expectation of how it should go or what
Mm.
a song should be, um, or people who are super highly trained, which happened a couple times,
Mm.
and then they saw how I use effects, which are not the proper way, but they get the job done.
Hear that?
And there are ways that I found through my own experimentation. But out of I'd say it's very rare that you have that. You just come about, just communicate with the person you're making the song with.
Mm.
The thing that you and I did was interesting because I know you have a huge back catalog and obviously know what you're doing technically, and we are both not. Um, we weren't in the same room. We didn't like write the song or make song decisions
Mhm.
together. That's a different
Right.
thing. Where also the biggest thing I also take from writing, and I tell myself over and over again, is cut your darlings. I don't know if you heard, don't be afraid to cut your darlings. So
Yeah.
don't rebuild an entire track around like one piece that you're like, well, that's the best part. You're like, well, is it? Especially if you have somebody else in the room who's
Yeah.
just like not into it, and
That
just
is
be like,
so
all right,
true. so many times when I'm working on a track, I'm like, why is this awful? And then I'll mute out the thing that I had heretofore thought I could never mute out, and oh, okay, it was the darling.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
cut I cut the darling. And if in the chat room, what's up, Jason? Um, so you can get that hotness now at theboundless.bandcamp.com. Pay what your heart desires. So the in the chronology, I mean, space and time are sort of like the same thing out here. And since I'm so far out in space, let's go back in time with some boundless releases. You had mentioned when we were talking about the duality of your previous releases, Rise and Drift, and that sort of maybe, don't let me put words in your mouth, gave birth to this outlier, the Dust Trial. Could you speak to that sort of trifecta?
Yeah, so really, the dust trial was an outlier from a lot of other things. I had changed jobs and was just really, really stressed.
Mm-hmm.
And you can really hear that in the album, where it has a lot of frustration in it, I guess. And it's also was my first time. It was also a reaction to wonderful DJs like friends like Jenna Max and the Nexus Six crew,
Shout out to Jenna and Nexus 6.
and also meeting Jared and Brian out in Boston,
Woo!
Brian L. And that they were DJing Digital Gnosis. And I was like, wow, this is actually kind of cool, where people had actually liked the Gnosis tracks I did. I was like, well, what if I wrote something a little bit for the dance floor in mind? But I stand behind the Dust Trial 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that Carpe Gestaltum is much more of a dance floor track because it starts right with it. I think everything I had written in Rise and Drift, Rise was, I was saying to myself, okay, I was always having this dichotomy. I'm between I really want to write something like beautiful or nice or like really hits you emotionally or really is solid, but I realize that that's the antithesis of dancing, because if you're arrested by emotional music,
Fascinating.
you're not
Okay.
going to dance at all. It's like that time where you think when there's an amazing performance on the stage or a singer, a songwriter, or like, like Nine Inch Nails Hurt, right? So he does that. It's like pin drop can happen and he really nails it. And you're like, okay, that experience I want to create, but I also wanted to have dance stuff. But so I was kind of experimenting in both of those with Rise and Drift.
Interesting.
And then the Dust Trial was more of like also Wax Trax stuff that I love. I love Wax Trax music. I love the Wax Trax idea. And that was also real. And I watched Cold Wave's Meat Beat Manifesto. So on the Dust Trial, I have puns, which you should appreciate, for the different people that I did. So Manifesto is because it was like a Meat Beat Manifesto track. Right Field was because it was like a left field track.
Love it. I love it.
And I think I was writing also from the point of view of a playwright or dramatist for a lot. I still do. I can't get away from that. I will eventually, and it's okay. It's just what I do. Is that I'm trying to write a 3-act structure in a dance track. So I think you can even hear that in how I kind of arranged Carpe. Was that there's a climax. It's like a rising and falling action. There's like it's like a story that occurs in all of the songs. And especially with Gnosis, because with that, I'm also telling a story with another person, actually with 2 other people, we say, because it's Jay, really, or 3 other people, because it's not me. I am but an avatar for Jay, who's Digital Gnosis, because it's Nick Jones and Nick Libertor. So J and L. And with that, the third member really is Digital Gnosis itself, of this kind of project that we're creating. So we're like, oh, okay, because we have an idea of what those sounds are and what we do with Digital Gnosis. So, but still with that, there is a story that happens. And the first album, the Aten album, with that, we had written an intro and a climax. And we said, now we need to connect this. And it took 3 years to do that. And once we finally hit the point where our climax was, we were frustrated in a good way, because we were like, wow, in 3 years of working together every Thursday and sometimes Saturdays, or taking entire weeks off of work to do this, we have exceeded what our initial climax was.
Oh, nice.
So the song Vuelta, you can hear it. It's track 10, I believe, on Aten, where we were ramping up, and we were going all the way up, and then we were like, oh God, we're going to jump over where the climax was. So we had to unwind it. And so we did this 3/4 thing where we have just a whole bunch of unwinding sitars. Obviously, that's what needs to happen at the end of that. When you cannot exceed your current climax, you need to back it away, and then we made it all fit together.
You had put too much power in that Angry Birds Scorched Earth drawback.
That's what happened.
Love it. You spoke a little bit about digital gnosis, so it sounds like you and your coworker for that band are sort of like the two guys on each other's shoulders, and digital gnosis is the trench coat and the hat and the complete guy.
In a way, it's more of an idea than a person. So it's both of us looking at whatever that energy is, or that kind of So it's like us looking out at that thing, you know.
Okay. Well, Climaximus, says Jason Hall. Well, let's get into that a bit. Loved Gate, if I'm saying that right. Is that how you pronounce it?
That's how we do it. We don't because it's like from a Buddhist chant thing. But when Facebook translates it, it translates it into French, and it means spoiled in French. Which I'm like,
okay.
Great. That was great. Well, we're actually we're doing other pieces of that. There were going to a 4 EP series with that. We actually worked on it last night too. So
get out. Okay, so we'll do a little Gnosis talk. This is digitalgnosis.bandcamp.com. There's a little accent mark over the E, and Gate came out in 2019, mastered by friend of the show, former guest of the show, and personal friend, Adam of Big Time Kill. It's great. Now, you had just said you composed this like boundless albums where you'd started with sort of this act structure. Is that the same as Gate? Is that the album you were talking about, the overshooting the climax?
Yeah. And I think what it is it's not an act structure Gate was not like that. And it's not, it's not about like creating an act structure and then I fill it in. It's more of just like, I just kind of like let whatever take over and just throw things at the wall, see what sticks. But I think my natural inclination toward writing is in a 3-act structure.
Interesting. Okay.
But with Gate, it was really wanted to make a dance album. Quite honestly, that was one of the main things with it, really specifically for club kind of stuff. But we were making different takes on that and remixing pieces of it in the future releases. So it's like pieces of the first album will be found in the second album, and that in the third and the fourth album.
Oh man, it's tone poetry, like Peter and the Wolf over here.
Totally.
I take it, man. So, what might distinguish the Gate album? We can get into specifics a little bit if you want. Like in terms of like software, hardware, like even a technique used that you hadn't employed previously.
We're constantly upgrading VSTs and getting plugins and things like that. So I'd say definitely the Ableton 10, that was a big thing in it. And the fact that in Aten, L was initially in FL, and he still uses FL to write in. So it's a lot of bouncing stems out and then going to FL and then back into Ableton for the final piece. So it's a lot longer process and a lot of transformation of what everything is.
That sounds like a pain in the ass, but it definitely birthed some great results.
Yeah, that was for Aten. For Gate, it was just, we went in and we just did it. And the really cool thing also was that, or the thing I'm excited about, is in collaboration that the last show we played as Digital Gnosis officially, we did play Crucible in 2019 at the very end as a secret Gnosis appeared suddenly in the Crucible end.
Random encounter.
After it was our Roybot, which is Nick Liberator's solo project, is Roybot. So Roybot and the Boundless were on the bill. So we're like, well, if they're there, Digital Gnosis will probably appear. And they did.
Right. Nice.
Which was a surprise. So with that, the cool thing was, and then we're going to keep pushing further, is we both like had a bass stem. And so Ableton, you do little like clips
Yeah.
So we both played the same exact bass line out toward the mixer, toward the master, but we were both affecting that bass line in different ways.
Oh, cool.
So it's like I was hearing live what he was doing, he was hearing live what I was doing, and it just kind of created this feedback loop.
Oh, wow.
And when it first happened in the Sub T show, I was
In
like,
Chicago?
in Chicago,
Yeah, it's
where I was
Sub
like,
T. It's classic. Sorry.
yeah. So I was like, wow, I just wanted to keep going in that moment, and the crowd was there with us too. So I was like, okay, this was cool. Like we just stayed in that moment. We're gonna even go further in that, where we have a Roland MX1 mixer that we saw. We know that some people use that. I know Kevin Lux, who was also on the show, uses that. We also saw. We ended up opening for Daniel Meyer that he used that same thing.
Never heard of him.
It's a great mixer, and what we can do is then live feed into that from both of our computers, and then feed in the video element as well using Resolute.
Oh, that's pretty awesome, man. Talk about live AV. Very cool. So, is that what you guys did in Boston here for Convergence?
We did a little bit of that, and I think that's why that show is awesome. I really feel good about how it went in the end when I'm further distanced, but in the moment of it, because we had too much split what he was doing video-wise and what he was only on video, I was only on audio, so it felt like I was doing a video game with everyone staring at you. You know?
You crushed the.
It felt. I know as the audience. I know the audience experience. I feel was good, and I feel that But for me as a performer, and so we went to the drawing board, and that's why we have the MX1 now, and said, okay,
very cool.
How can we take this experience? What happened? Why, as a performer in this amazing space with amazing people around me, like again, Jared is become a good. It's like one of those people you meet off the internet now, where I'm like, wow. Like I know I would hang out with this guy and Brian L. Like if I was in Boston. But anyway, that they were all there. So we reconfigured it. So we're now. Sorry, I'm going all over the place.
No,
but in space, it's fine.
Good. Yeah, we had so much. Space is literally in the name. We got all the room you want.
All right, good. As long as we end at 3. Still. That's where the difference is. And digital knows this is constantly evolving. So I wouldn't say there's a specific type of gear or kind of thing. And that's kind of the fun of it. And when you're working with somebody else, I mean, the Roybot, definitely everybody should check out Roybot. It's another Think Break artist. He's roybot.bandcamp.com. He's just very, very talented and go all over the place. He's how I learned how to make electronic music as well.
Oh, awesome. Okay. I want to jump back in time a second because I want to get this out. You had mentioned Fritz Perls and his theory of a certain word. Let's get into that a little bit. How is this a true, wait for it, gestalt, going back to double feature in electronic music sort of way?
For Carpe Gestaltum?
Yeah.
And louder, yeah. I think what it was is that Gestalt is really about, as far as I understand it, I am an unlicensed academic, but I read a lot of stuff and I'm really fascinated by philosophy and psychology and all of that, but I'm definitely unlicensed. So, but his idea, as far as I take it, is that it's to get into the moment and be fully present in the moment.
Okay, cool.
Because he has the idea where he'll have somebody. Are you familiar? Like where he's like someone's in the hot seat or whatever. Or they'll talk to themselves, or they'll be like, "Why are you?" It's very confrontative, actually. It's very his gestalt. It's fascinating to watch. It's definitely very 60s as well.
I will check that out so I know what I'm talking about at parties.
That's all that's important. That's why you watch any of that stuff.
What might be next for specifically the Boundless, or is that not?
I got a live stream coming up.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, July 10th.
Awesome.
That's going to be actually starting. We're doing a series of raids are coordinated across the United States. So it's going to begin with the Taste of Corrosion. That's in Boston with DJ Brian L. He will begin. I believe at 8 o'clock your time,
Hmm.
7 o'clock ours, because it'll end at 9 o'clock our time in Chicago. And he will then hand it off to a taste of Nexus 6 with Sprite and Fleshbot.
Yeah.
And then they're going to then raid me at 11 p.m. Central Standard Time, which would be midnight your time
Yeah.
on July 10th.
July
Um,
10th, the Chicago-Boston industrial connection is going down. I love it, man.
and then it's going to go north, actually, to other pieces. Is to Matt Finale from Caustic is going to do a show right after that.
It's my boo.
Not a Caustic show, but a DJ set. And then he's going to then raid another person I just met recently by watching their streams. I really liked in Denver, DJ Nitrogen, who used to be in Minneapolis, I guess. So
Okay.
he's going to end it with kind of a whatever set of just kind of an after party.
Very cool. Are those centralized in any way? Is there a URL we can give out, or should we just sort of keep feelers out for the July 10th raid party?
There's going to be there'll be a Facebook event soon. I
Okay.
I didn't want to, in the sea of live streams, I want to make another stream at its own channel, right?
Okay.
Out of the main body of water of the stream.
Gotcha. Oh, Cookie Monstrous in Twitch says, "Guess I know what I'm doing July 10th." Love it. Thank you. Um, very cool. Well, how are you finding the online show experience now that we can't like leave really in this Corona world?
I've only done a test stream so far because again, I don't want to coordinate raids and then it comes to my turn and I can't pass the ball because I've set myself on fire accidentally, sonically, not in real. There's not going to be flames involved in my apartment. But I'm finding it was interesting. Honestly, I had a great time on the test stream. I know you stopped by. It was cool of you
Yeah,
to
it was
do that.
cool, man.
Like, because my favorite part as a performer was showing the videos that I had found. And actually, there were 2 videos created from Roy Bott actually made for Think Break artists. And then also it's just kind of fun to share that. I've never really I've DJ'd a couple of times. But usually I do performance DJ stuff where I chop everything up in Ableton, and it's not the
cool.
same. Where it's like in this case, it was really fun because you could just interact. Be like, it felt more like sitting on the couch, being like, "Hey, I like this song by the Van Damage, the electrifying song." I'm like, "This is great. These
That
guys
track
are
was
crazy."
baller.
That track is amazing, right? And I just want to find more like that. And so, as a split off of my Twitch thing of a performance, which I will, and I know I will enjoy it, but I'm trying to link up so much audio visual, like to have the clips visually go exactly with the audio. So like on my my song I'm going to begin the track with, that's like I sample pictures of Dante's Inferno that were and then also pictures of like samples of Highlander and other pieces all happening at the same time. So it all, but that's a lot of that piece. And I was worried technically about that, I think, when I was performing live the first time.
If you're doing all that stuff live, that is a lot of moving pieces. I can tell you. I mean, I basically just have to contend with this flying couch and a guest. But
Yeah.
if you're doing all those dials and trying to sync up live visuals, pretty amazing. Speaking of visuals, let's get into this because I know you primarily stream music, but the Nick Jones oeuvre is strong. You have a graphic novel credit. That's cool.
Yeah, I did this. I was actually at Neo. A buddy of mine, he just kind of walked up to me and says, "Hey, you write plays, man?" And it was back when it was years, 7 or 10 years ago. I don't even know when we started the what do you call it? It's called Seraph Manifesto is the actual thing, but it was in Neo, and actually it's kind of fun that Neo,
Shout
the
out to
club that
Neo.
now is closed in Chicago, he actually did draw that. I draw nothing of it. All I did was I'm a writer. I help with
Okay.
the story.
Well,
and
it's kind of
editor
half the
and
story.
public, yeah. Which he had the story, and it's like really how it unfolds on the panels. I'm really heavily involved in that, and then some of the editing and the publication piece of it.
Very cool. Well, I'm gonna use that as a segue, being that you have a graphic novel credit. I want to know. Let's make the Boundless the superhero. All right. So I need to know, like, if the Boundless was a superhero, like, what would your powers be? Tell me about your lair, kryptonite, or weakness if you want. Your supervillain nemesis, or any sidekicks and compatriots you might have.
If I were, I have two answers. I know you gave me this because this would be a lot to think about on the spot. Uh, so,
Or whatever. It's space
well,
captain. It
the
doesn't matter.
superhero, I know what I'd want to say is that I want everyone to be their own hero, like that would be what it would be, a way
Mhm.
to imbue powers in others to have them help find their own powers, that then help me find my own powers, and that kind of connection.
That is
So,
Captain Egalitarian. There's your.
yeah. But it really would be, I think,
Oh, lightning
lightning.
powers!
So,
Oh,
it's not like I'm sorry, I didn't mean I should have warned you before I shot
oh,
over
that's
your head
okay.
like
We
that.
got shock
Got shields
protectors and
up, I
stuff.
figured.
Yeah,
I figured
yeah,
it's good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're at 86% now, but you know what?
Okay.
Let me power up the shields over on the controls here. Boop, pop, beep, pop, boop, pop, boop, and hit me with another blast of that.
That's more
Oh,
directly,
oh man.
have it
So
just directly up. So,
I was thinking, like, hypothetically, I didn't know you could actually will lightning into being. That is you're the first like legit superpowered being we've had on. I take that back. You're one of the many legit superpowered
oh
beings
yeah,
we've.
that's exactly my first real power that I'd like to have
Okay,
if I were a superhero.
is
But I think
lightning.
the idea of the hero in general, it's like I contend with it as someone just like it's like there's such an individualistic kind of way about that.
Hmm.
That's important to have your individuality in the superhero, but also I like the super groups
Mm.
that are together where each person has something to add to a greater whole. Something, like yeah.
Well, mutual friend Kat is in the chat room and says that Boundless could power cities. It's true. Um, so, would you who might be on your superhero team? Uh,
Well, obviously, the other Think Break members, Nevada Hardware, which is Doug Jones,
mhm.
and then Roy Bott. I would, now I would have you at least from space watching.
Oh,
You
awesome.
know,
Okay.
yeah,
I could
yeah,
do some Watchtower stuff, Justice
yeah,
League. Awesome. Love it. Thank you. Thank you. Well,
yeah.
let's get into that a bit. We got.
Sorry, I was
Oh
distracted.
no,
Just
we
let
hit
that
an
sit right there.
asteroid. Oh, it'll bounce off the magnetic shielding. It's fine. Just
Okay, it's fine. I'm fine. I'm okay as long as you're okay. It's fine.
Yeah, no, it's all. We got stabilizers. You didn't see anything move, so it's
Okay,
it's
good.
all good. I can do like
Okay,
that Star Trek like shake, but like I don't even
okay,
feel it at this point.
okay.
We got into this a little bit when Doug of Nevada Hardware, your brother, was on the show. But tell us about the status of ThinkBreak right now.
Think Break. It's a repository of stuff that we enjoy right now, and it's
Mm-hmm.
a place for the three of us, the founding members of Think Break, which is myself, Nick Libertzor, Roy Bott, and then Doug Jones, Nevada Hardware. All three of us kind of coming together to have a centralized location where we're releasing these. So you're not just
Mm-hmm.
kind of in Bandcamp or wherever you're like, hey, listen to my track. We're like, no, we're together and we have different skill sets that we can do and help each other in that process. And there are three of us, but we're not really like, well, no, you can't release it. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
anything goes.
Right.
In fact, we're bringing another. You're the first actual external to the three of us that is
Oh,
involved now in Think Break.
all right.
Uh,
Well.
and then in August, if it comes out that way, my friend Daniel Knox, he and I did a project called Coin Hammer.
Love it.
And he is a really good Tin Pan Alley kind of singer-songwriter, but he also
Hmm.
used to be the projectionist in the Music Box
Oh, no
before
kidding.
that closed. So he's way into movies. So we had a lot. In fact, he got into music to score his movies, but then he became an amazing musician who played things like Millennium Park and played Chicago
Yeah.
Theater and
Oh,
like all
yeah.
these. He's amazing. He's definitely somebody. DanielKnox.bandcamp.com. Definitely go there. it's music that if you listen to the lyrics, they're incongruent sometimes where some of his older music, and it's funny because of that. He has a great sense of humor, a dark sense of humor. But Coinhammer, he just did things like he wanders around the city and he recorded like an escalator.
Oh,
And so he
nice.
sampled. So it's kind of like Throbbing Gristle in that way.
Very
If
cool.
Throbbing Gristle worked with Jan Tiersen, who scored
Wow.
Amelie. So that's kind of what ended up happening. And that we've mastered it professionally now. We've sent it out for all that. So that's coming out in August, and there'll be a live stream with that. It'll be a really trippy,
You
slow
heard it
motion live
here
stream.
on Space Couch. We will definitely look out for Coinhammer on Think Break Records. Yeah, for those of you not in space or in Chicago, a little bit of a local reference. The Music Box is like the cool theater in town. There are many cinematic options in the wonderful city of Chicago, but to work with a projectionist at Music Box is pretty dope. Love that. So check out records.com. Oh no, did we lose you? Oh, oh, that happened. Wait.
We just froze. Oh, it's okay.
Oh,
We're back.
oh, we're back. Okay, I was
We
just
were
talking
stuck.
about
We're
how
back.
Music Box Theater is pretty great, and that's awesome. And we will watch for Coinhammer in August. Toss out that URL for ThinkBreak for me. Is that thinkbreak.com or thinkbreakrecords.com?
Yeah, thinkbreakrecords.com.
ThinkBreak.
Thinkbreak.com actually costs $2,000 to have that URL. So there's no way we could have, well, not yet. One day, obviously.
Well, I
No.
mean, you don't need to take a break from thinking to realize that that's
Right.
crazy pants. So go to thinkbreakrecords.com, especially in August, for Coinhammer. Since the project's not out yet, I can ask you this without feeling bad. How did you get the name Coinhammer?
I was hanging out with Daniel when I met him actually when I was 23 and just moved to the city. And he was in a coffee shop writing his novel, and I just was like, that sounded cool. And he had something, and we just were wandering around, and he just wanted to get into doing music. And so I said, well, let's do something. I was more into theater. I didn't do music at all at that point. I was just doing all the play stuff. Anyway, so we were in his apartment, and he's like, well, let's just do something, man. And I'm like, all right. And he had
Nice.
a pile
love
of
that.
coins as we dumped them into the center of his floor. And then we took a hammer and we hit them. It's real. We really did that.
It's a literal coin hammer.
It's a literal coin hammer.
That's awesome.
And then, of course, because I was very mature at 23, I believe I then went into his bathroom and was screaming profanities, which is
Oh.
exactly what you do when you're 23 first making music.
Well, yeah, I mean that's kind of boilerplate.
Yeah, that's it. It's necessary.
It's necessary. Nützlich. No, it's useful. I forgot what necessary is auf Deutsch. I want to get into this before we have to jack out the feed. You wrote a paperback. That's amazing. Tell me about that.
Yeah, it was just kind of finishing things out. I do like that. It's like a fairy tale kind of thing. I worked with a local Chicago. It was Chicago. We moved to Iowa to illustrate it. It's just like a nice fairy tale kind of thing based off of the kind of the hero's journey. But it was with basically a young woman who's just kind of lost, and then she gets a package from another dimension that says that reality as we know it will come apart. And so she has to knit it back together.
Awesome.
Get the golden needles to prevent reality from coming apart. So
where do we get
that's what
that?
the story's about. Amazon.
Awesome.
And that's Fabric by Nick Jones.
Fabric by Nick Jones. Check that out. Is it? I don't know.
But of course, it'll be Nick Jonas will probably come up because that's what happens to me a lot.
Oh no! I didn't even think of that.
I'm now for my official art stuff and on Amazon, anything else I publish or work off there or solo music is Nick_Jones. That is my, It was a great conversation with a person on Amazon when I was getting it published. And I said, well, what if I wanted to be Prince or Madonna? And he said, this is how to do it. Because it's one name.
So you would be Prince or Madonna as one word.
Well, no, I'm just saying if I was Prince,
Ah.
have to put it in the last name field. I work with databases during the day, so that's also one of the reasons I have the underscores is because to make sure where they're at, like if they're doing
Mm.
it, how the databases can handle that, and they can't. Like Spotify, they have to. Google Play will do the boundless properly formatted,
Mm.
because obviously it's Google and they don't care. Spotify, they capitalize the and boundless, but they'll put the underscores.
Mm.
So anyway, but
Yeah.
that's why it's Nick underscore Jones.
Well, now I know the and uh I don't know how writing a book works in 2020 or whenever your fabric was initially penned. Do you have to like find a publisher and all that, or can you just go?
So it's self-published, and the cool thing about self-publishing now is
Hmm.
that it's not as like the vanity publishing they used to have was like you pay us a bunch of money and we'll make you a star. It's like no, you won't. You're assholes and you're taking people's money and
Right.
you're bilking people. What it is now, because space is cheap, data is cheap, all of
Hmm.
that. It's just you can use. I've used both. I've used Lulu.com,
Hmm.
and I have also used Amazon's KDP, Create Space. The only reason I went to Amazon with this was that I quite honestly for a graphic novel, if you do download it for Serif Manifesto,
Hmm.
I did set up like hundreds of the little panel things that zoom around everywhere, and they have a reader that can do that.
Oh, very
Um,
cool.
but you had to pay nothing. You pay nothing to them. They just take a cut. So it's actually cheaper than us having to use CD Baby or DistroKid to
Hmm.
put things out. It's easier, cheaper, more lucrative to put out a novel.
Oh, well, you got an appearance from Space Dog today. So she
Fantastic.
never comes on the show, so you must be very soothing. And she wants to know all about Lulu. And Space Dog also wants to know, like, Seraph, the graphic novel is something you can pick up online. That's interesting. I thought it was like it's
Yeah.
not a physical thing, or is it?
It's both. It's both.
Okay.
We have a physical and a digital release with it. Same with the other one with Fabric.
Very cool, very cool. And let's get into because I don't know this world at all. Your give us the inside skinny on being a. I'm still in like quiet voice because I didn't want to yell in Space Dog's ear. Give us the
Right.
inside skinny on being a playwright.
Um, that's really what I started as when I came up here to. I started as an actor, but then I found I enjoyed
Really?
writing plays better. Yeah, I moved here back in '99. I just saved. I worked in factories, and then
Hmm.
on the weekends in a movie theater, saved everything I could to be an actor in Chicago. But I hated auditioning,
Okay.
and sometimes I would get cast, and it'd be in a play that felt dangerous, where someone literally once like they took a coffee mug and threw it over my head and it shattered. And I said, I don't need to be doing this. Um, this is not what and I enjoyed I found writing, and I found there was like a thing where I went from
Hmm.
acting to directing to producing to writing.
Oh wow.
And that's what I enjoy. Yeah, writing is what I enjoy doing the most out of all of that. I'm still acting. I got back into,
Oh, awesome.
I cast in the Odyssey at Loyola University as my day job. So I met a lot of young, awesome actors. And I'm working with them actually now for my new work. I'm drafting a play, and we're going to do a private kind of Zoom reading where I'll take the feedback from them and then I'll redo it, and then probably um, open up. I have a 501c3 that's in my drawer. I'm going to probably open it up and then I will produce that play,
Kick
because
ass. I
yeah. So that's all that.
where do we and I don't know, maybe this is premature or even gauche to ask, but where do we see the Boundless play whenever that comes out?
It'll most likely be Chicago, or if anybody is listening
Hmm.
anywhere in the world that wants to produce this play, I can license
Mm.
the rights or whatever, but it's
Yeah.
not done yet. So the reading could go terribly where I just give up and that's just it.
Hmm.
But
I
I
mean,
hopefully it won't.
that can be, and not even just terra firma there, like if any Venusians or Plutonians are watching this broadcast, we'll talk to me, talk to Nick.
Yeah,
We'll figure it out. It'll be a, think break Pluto joint. Um,
right.
very much looking forward to that. Is there? you don't need to obviously give away any plot elements, but what kind of thing is it?
It's a little bit dark.
It's a little bit. Well, we can't have
It's
that.
no, it's kind of a ghost story and very loosely based on it's kind of about what it means to watch something, I guess. That's
Hmm.
where I don't know. It took 10 years to finally get it to where I
Been working
like
on
it.
it for
I was
10
in a
years.
writing group. I put it, I mean, 10 years on and off, mostly off.
Wow.
But, I finally got a draft of it where I stand behind it.
Hmm.
It's basically about some ghosts watch as a play within the play. The ghosts are watching the play, and the ghosts also tell the whole audience as they're watching it, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're dead. So there's that audience kind of interaction. So that goes, and then it goes through that, and it gets very dark.
Awesome.
But it's still, I make sure there's jokes because that's important.
Well, all right. If I ever get back to Chi-Town, we'll see if that is out. It sounds awesome. We will check out Fabric on Amazon. We will check out the boundless.bandcamp.com, not only for Rise Drift, Get Way Out is
Getaway. That's the
Getaway.
single off of Dust Trial.
I just had the oxygen got cut off here on the space couch, and so I had a little brain glitch there. But you can also check out Double Feature One, the first of the Think Break Tiger Squawk enmeshings. There is some really, really cool things in those two tracks. What might be next? I know we've talked about a lot. What's the next thing for the mighty Nick Jones? Like even today or next week?
Well, definitely they had to figure out for the Odyssey. I'm also composing music for
Get
that production.
out! Oh,
So
don't
and
bury
they
the
had to
lead,
figure
man.
out how to do it over Zoom or some other
Uh-huh.
way that we have to live stream it. So I'm also involved on the technical back end to try to figure out how to get all this AV stuff to work and how we do the Odyssey. So that'll be open to everyone. So everyone, I highly recommend. It's a really great production. We were ready to do it, and then the Corona thing happened, and we had one performance for like a rehearsal, and they had a giant puppet of the Cyclops, so they had everything.
So
It
wait,
was
time out,
amazing.
time out. It this is on like Zoom or something? People can see you.
It will be. It
Oh,
will be.
oh
Uh,
man. Okay.
yeah, playing Eumaeus. I also am doing drums. I played hand drums for
Kick
it.
it. So okay, Space Couch Kateers, you can see our guest today, industrial superstar the Boundless, play drums
Yeah.
in a play called The Odyssey by some guy. Um, I'm
It's
sure
the
it's.
Mary Zimmerman adaptation of the Homer.
Oh, okay. So like, what does that mean? Is it like, are you in the Civil War or like pirates or something?
Nah, it's just a theater. They cut off. It means that it's not going to be 7 days long to do it. It means it's just like this big. So
Okay, very cool, very cool. We'll definitely
yeah,
check out uh, the digital Gnosis album Got Day because it's got a cool little accent mark over the E. Um, I have only breached the tip of the top of the Nick Jonesian iceberg. But is there anything else you want to toss out here on Le Couch?
yeah. It's based. There's a new album I'm working on that I'm calling Hyethology. It's basically it's not really a remix and it's not really a cover album. It's like taking songs that really I love or have been influenced. Like I'm gonna play actually one of them live on July 10th, and I've been playing it live as I do a cover of Da Funk by Daft Punk. But
Yeah.
I also sample James Brown and add and make it way faster. And then
Mhm.
I also sample Beethoven in that. So there's a moment of Beethoven's Ninth that happens in my cover of Defunk.
Wow.
So that's coming out, and I've done some other songs on it. I'm trying to think of. I also did an orchestral version on it, so I'm still working on it. But so I
Very
don't have that.
cool.
That's not like officially out yet, but just a few of those
And
outlier tracks and also live performance. I make new intros for things all the time. So I'm going to have a place for all those
love it.
introduction
Oh,
tracks
very
that I really
cool.
enjoy.
Yeah, you can do that here on our own Space Couch with the music of Space Couch out now on Tiger Squawk Records. And is that all that wonderful stuff coming out under the Boundless mantle, or is this a whole new
That
thing?
one will be the Boundless. Yeah, that'll
Okay,
be the Boundless.
very
Um,
cool.
yeah, so
Wow.
that's the newest Boundless, and it has a couple of new tracks on it too that I want to keep kind of expanding. Like one of the songs, I'm gonna write the song and then take the end of that song and then release the next kind of version on a series of albums as I go with this.
D- Diabolical. He's a machine, this guy. I love it. So, if you are within earshot of a computing machine or internet connected device, uh, point it to the internet on July 10th in the Twitchosphere, and you poke around. We'll have a URL for
Yeah,
you. Um,
yeah. It's Twitch. If you want to follow me now on Twitch, it's
yeah.
twitch.tv/the_boundless_. So you have to slide one of the underscores over because it won't let you start with it, which I understand that one because that's a URL. So it needs to go the_boundless_.
The
So if you follow, you'll get the announcements.
boundless underscore. Well, I would like to underscore the fact that you have provided us with a wonderful episode here on Space Couch. We are going to pull this flying divan back into the station in just a second. And oh, Kat says, what about the short movie you scored recently?
Oh, yeah, I scored a movie recently.
Dude,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
of course you
It
did.
was, yeah, it was really. I took a cinematography class, and then I met this guy who's really awesome. It was actually, it's a really, yeah. I'll send it to you, man. I think you'd enjoy it. It's not out. It's like not. You can't. It's because he's submitting it for
Ooh,
festivals and things, so
you
it
can.
can't be like, yeah. But it's basically, it's about it's kind of was a post-apocalyptic thing, but and he was like, I'll randomly pick pandemic, and so it's horrifying. Like it was like you're like, oh, it's like these two his daughters who are amazing actresses,
Huh.
and then there's someone after society has collapsed, and there's just a little moment where they open up the newspaper and it says, oh, a pandemic wipes out.
Oh
It's
man.
yeah.
Send me
So
that so I can feel fancy in Hollywood to have my own screener.
there
We'll
you
check
go.
that out. And that it, we'll get
That's
into
called
that.
They Grow Up So Fast. I'm sorry, I
They
forgot that
grow up
they grow up
so
so fast.
fast. Check
And I'll
that
be
out.
releasing that on my Spotify or in Bandcamp as Nick_Jones. I'm gonna put the score out, the original soundtrack.
So you gotta follow Nick underscore Jones on Spotify too, not just Boundless Digital Gnosis or the Think Break Records mantle. Oh, so much content today uh, in the void, which is,
Right.
normally
That's
free
where
of
the
content.
boundless exists.
Yes! Oh, no bounds here on Space Catch. Nick, this has been awesome. Uh, Looking forward to 5,000 different things now. But I will exit saying, call the spaceship to Davenport, prepare for Devaniki, interface with the couch in space. This is Brian for Space Couch, for Nick, for Digital Gnosis, Coinhammer, The Boundless, Think Break Records, 5 more things I already forgot. Check that all out on the internet. Nick, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Yeah, that's good. It's like it's basically a lot of piano stuff and then like a lot of strings. Um, yeah, yeah.